Hi all, let's do some Java. First we'll start with the joke. Old joke book, I got it on the free rack at the library. World's Book of Best Jokes. It's like 1930, 1937, something like that. (1943). Okay, so it's a timid man calling a woman on the phone. Timid man proposing over the phone. "Miss Simpkins." The woman replies, "Yes, Miss Simpkins speaking." And the man replies, "Well, will you marry me, Miss Simpkins?" The woman says, "Yes, but who's speaking?" Okay, so first Java video we went over HelloWorld. We showed how to set it up, how to set up Java, how to run the compiler. I think we'll kind of go over that again today, but I just want to explain a little bit about what this stuff is. It's not really necessary to understand all this stuff right now. Over a period of time, it'll make more sense. But I think right now, if we really pick this apart, it would just overwhelm you and bog you down. So right now, the only thing that's really necessary is kind of understanding that print line prints out text to the screen. This is the main function. So I've got a few things over here. We'll go over it. Okay, so there's different ways that you can run Java. You know, they have different programs now. It's all, you can do it inside of a GUI where you drop and drag things and stuff like that. So, but I think it's best if you at least start with the command prompt, so you got a general idea of how that stuff works. Of course, the GUI is best. It saves a lot of time. It saves a lot of work. It writes a lot of code for you. But you should still kind of understand the code. These days, things have gotten really complicated, so it is kind of hard to understand every little thing. But you should know how to look it up and figure out what it is. So, okay, so we start the command prompt. I have it on my taskbar here, so we'll just start it up here. And let's see, so it's always nice to see what version we're working with, just to make sure things are working right. Okay, so it's Java version 1.8, and then they give the other smaller version, but they call it Java 8. Why they do it like that, I don't know. It went 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but Java 1 version 8, so they call it Java 8. So, doesn't make any sense to me, but that's the way they do it. So here's the first Java program that we went over. So just as a review, let's do it again. So what I like to do is on C:, create a folder named Java. And all that does is it makes it easier to find inside here. You don't have to do it this way, but it just makes things easier to navigate. So make a folder on C:, named Java. You can name it anything. Inside that folder, we'll create another folder here, and we'll just call this one Hello. And again, you don't have to put these inside of a folder, but it's nice to keep them grouped together so you can see what's going on. Okay, so we'll come back here and we'll grab the code here. And then go to our folder, create a text file, save it, and then I'm going to grab this name here. Okay, that's the class name. We'll go over that later. And then I'm going to rename this file the same as that class name. See that? This name is the same as the file name. Okay, and then hopefully you can see your extensions there. I think we went over that in the other video, and then we just change the extension to Java. So it's HelloWorld.java. The extension is .java. Are you sure you want to change the extension? Yes. And then I have mine, so it comes up as the WordPad file icon, but that really doesn't matter. Yeah. You can right click here and go open with some other app and say make it look like Notepad, and always use that to open Java files. So now it looks like a Notepad file. While we're on the topic, just in case if you bump into it, like I have this old folder full of programs that I used to use when I taught this in college. Like if I open one of these up, you can see it looks like a Notepad file, but if I open that, it's all on one line. So the reason why I was doing that in WordPad, if I open that with WordPad, then I get a regular structure. Each line on its own. So that's why I had the icon as a WordPad file. I just thought that would be good to know in case you do happen to bump into that. It's like, what's that? It's all on one line. Okay, so we have our file here, Hello World. Now we have to go into that folder. So we have the command prompt here. cd ... goes back a folder. You can see how we went from user01 back to users. Then we'll go back another folder. So now we went from user folder back to C:. Now we have to go into the Java folder. Now we go into the Hello folder. And I hit the tab key there to complete the file name, so I didn't have to type the whole thing. Okay, I can do a dir here, and it shows me what files are inside that folder. This dot and dot stuff, that's just like hidden files or system files. They're in the folder here, but you can't see them, and that's what we use to move around. Dot just means the current folder. You're in the current folder. Dot means to move back a folder. Okay, so we're going to run the Java compiler on this file here. Okay, so Java C on helloworld.java. So we hit the enter key. It runs the compiler. No output means it worked. If you had errors, then you would get error messages here. And it created this class file here. Now that class file, that's what they mean by bytecode. Okay, that's a bytecode file. That isn't a file that you would open. You know, you wouldn't open that. I think you can open it if you want to. Let's try it in Notepad. See, it's just a bunch of cryptic stuff. You know, the system doesn't really know what to do with it. So it's not the type of file that you would open. Okay, so then you can use Java on HelloWorld. Take the class off of it because Java adds the dot class for you. So if you don't take that off, it actually runs this. So then it can't find the file. So you take that off, it runs the file. We went over that the first video. Okay, so first you'll usually see Java programs written like this. That's like the modern style. The old-fashioned way of programming is they would break this up. And it's easier to read like this. It's not as compact. It's not all pushed together. So like if we just take this and move this brace down, and then we take this one and move this brace down, move that over, so this brace matches that brace, and this brace matches that brace. So this opens class, and this one would close the class. Okay, so that just makes it easier to read. When I first got into this stuff, I did that with everything. You know, you would download these things or get them from a book, and they'd be real compact and it's real hard to study. Now that's a personal preference. You may not mind it, you know, but for me, I always split things up. It just made it easier to see what was going on. Okay, so we created the folder, we created the file, and we ran it. Okay, so the important thing is that you understand we're running a main function. This is main here. Practically every language, not all of them, but just about all of them, when you first run a program, it starts at main. So when you run the HelloWorld class file with Java, Java executes the main function. It looks for this guy here. This here. This would be the main function. Whenever you see these two things here, an open and close parentheses, you can insert the word function. That's the function. The main function. Like here, there's other stuff here. Right now that's not being used, but they just leave that in there. But that's kind of odd. Usually it doesn't work like that. You know, if it's not being used, it's not in there. But that's the way Java does it. So I just slimmed this down here so you can see what's going on. It's the main function, opening brace and closing brace. Now they add all this stuff on here, and each word, it definitely does mean something. It's definitely there for a purpose, but for the most part I don't really think it's necessary at this point. That's another one of those things where I think it's just going to bog you down. Just understand that it's the main function. We run the class file. We run the class file. Java executes main. The first line of the file is an import statement. That just brings everything you need into your program, so you don't have 1,000 lines of code to make the thing work. And it's saying go out and get the Java language stuff. And they just abbreviate it here. Why, I don't know. So go out to Java, get the language stuff, and star means everything. Go out and get everything and bring it in. Some programs you'll have a lot of import statements, and the common question is, well, why can't I just put everything there? Just put all of the import statements in every program. Well, you could, it'll work, and your program will just ignore the stuff it doesn't use. But that's really not the way it's done. And then another common question is, well, why can't I just do this? Go out to Java and bring in everything. Last I knew that didn't work. It might work now, but for some reason it's just they don't do it like that. So. But it will work here. Import java.lang and get everything. So import java.language, import the java.lang package. This would be the package. We're importing a package. Right now I would just say, okay, there's an import statement up there, and I wouldn't really worry about the rest. So, of course, we'll break it down later. Class. This is the class. In general, they say everything in Java is a class. And we'll do a lot with them. Right now we're just kind of going over silly examples just to kind of get you going so you can see what's going on with this stuff. And then we'll definitely get into building classes soon. Here we have a class, and if we take this out, if we take main out, there's our class. It's the HelloWorld class. Void, this is some stuff that I don't really think is necessary right now, but in case you're curious, I thought I'd run through these real quick. Void here just means that it returns nothing to Windows. It returns nothing to the operating system. Public just means all parts of the Java program you are creating have access to the main function. Well, that makes sense, right? Because it starts here, it starts in main, so everywhere else your program goes, it has to have access to main. So that's why it's public. Static is a tough one to understand right now. And that just means makes the members available without instantiating the class. So this here is the phrase. We're going to instantiate the class file. So real briefly, in case you're curious, that's a real tough topic right now, and we'll go over this a lot later, but this here is our class. And normally with the class file, we instantiate it. We instantiate it and make an object. The way I think of it is an object is like a bubble. Like in the cartoons, you got a bubble over a person's head and there's something in it. So you take this class file, you instantiate it, and you create that little bubble. And what's ever in that little bubble, that's what you can run as your program. So here they're saying members are available without instantiating the class. So main is the member, that's the function, is the main function. So it's static, so you don't have to instantiate main in order to use it. Like I said, that's a real tough topic right now. I wouldn't even worry about it. No one really worries about that stuff. It does what it's gonna do. There's more important things to learn. So, string args. I have some programs later on that will show you what that does. But right now we aren't using that. I have a couple other programs, I think they were in Python, where it shows you how we were getting information from the command line. So. Real briefly though, in case you're curious, like if we ran this, right? Well, if I put my name here, Jim, that's the first item after the name here. Jim would come into here. That's how we get information into the program. And then this line here, you can use this line for years without really understanding it. We're using the print line command. That would be the main thing, to output text to the screen. This here, they don't call it words, they call it a string. It's a string, S-T-R-I-N-G, and it's in quotes. It kind of seems like you're doing the same thing twice, right? If it's in braces, why do I have to put it in quotes too? But that's just the way it's done. It's the it's the print line function. Just like we had the main function up here, it's the print line function, and we're giving the print line function this text. This text gets sent to print line and println knows how to put it out on the screen. In general, they say all lines end in a semicolon. Well, you can see that's not true. That line doesn't, that line doesn't, that one does, that one doesn't, that one doesn't. So it's like all statements end in a semicolon. Well, right now, how do you know which is a statement and which one isn't? So I think that line is kind of confusing. So, you know, as far as all lines end in a statement, all lines end with a semicolon, because they don't. You know, you don't have a semicolon there, you don't have a semicolon there. But that one does. Okay, so the there's three things going on here: system, out, and then println. Okay, so system is a class. Out is an object of the print stream class. So out is an object of the print stream class. The print stream class is defined in the system class. So you can see why I say that's really not necessary now. No one really cares. You know, this line does what it's gonna do. You know. As you learn more about this stuff, it'll make more sense. Something that's kind of neat, if you go out and do a search for the Java class hierarchy, click on images, and let's see here. You get all these pictures that show how everything fits together inside Java. It's not really necessary to understand now, but it's just kind of cool to see. Once you do more, kind of understanding how this stuff works will come in handy. You know, especially if you're trying to track down errors, like why doesn't my program work? And then this link here is basically the same thing, but it's just in text. And that's basically what this stuff is. You know, how these things all, this is inside this, and this is inside this, you know. But my recommendation to you is, right now, don't worry about this stuff, because it'll just bog you down, blow you out of the water. You know. Yeah. You import the class. Main function would be the main thing. We're running the main function and printing out text to the screen. Okay, and I think we'll go ahead and stop there. See ya. Bye.